Hoki mai anō ki think tank. Hei te tiro hea i a mātou ki ngā kaupapa, e a pānei i a tātou katoa. Me te mea nui, ko te whai hua ki tēnei kaupapa, getting a fair deal for Kiwis in Australia. Nau mai, hoki mai anō e te iwi. Ko aku manuhiri i tēnei rā, ko Solina Theron, rātou ko Paul Hamer and Rangitane Marsden. What are some of the solutions for this?
Well, you could take out Australian citizenship, but that comes with its own complications. Or two, you could just not go to Australia.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, I suppose, you know, New Zealand expatriates probably need to lobby the Australian government and, you know, look at the options there, increase political debate, I think, you know, get a bit of media attention and, you know, probably not go to the commercial TV stations because they won't be interested in it, but, you know, look at something like the ABC or SBS, which tend to deal with the more meatier political issues, and they do have quite a influence on the Australian public. So, you know, possibly go there and try and get some media attention to it, which can potentially lobby the Australian government into making a change.
Okay.
I think lobbying the government probably won't achieve very much, and I think instead recourse should probably be had to the law. Australian states have anti-discrimination legislation, and there are some New Zealand rights advocates who are battling away very hard in those forums. And of course we're set for a win, I think, in Queensland about the New Zealand girl with the cerebral palsy until the Australian government settled out of court just before that went to trial. And as a result, the Queensland government rushed through an amendment to its anti-discrimination legislation to make it legal to discriminate on the basis of visa status or nationality. So it's an uphill struggle in that regard, but still there are legal avenues. Federal anti-discrimination legislation is a bit harder, but on a state-by-state basis there's a possibility there.
And I agree that some of the solutions, even iwi themselves are looking at solutions. We had sort of looked at how do we ensure our beneficiaries, irrespective of where they are in this country, are able to access their entitlements as a result of post-treaty settlement stuff. So our trip to Australia was based around how can we meet some of the needs or that in Australia that are created by the gaps.
Yeah, you can't even meet them in Auckland. Look,
we had to try really hard.
Yeah. But look, there's this issue where I think, and I don't know whether this is part of the solution or not, but we have got a bad press, and I don't think we deserve it. We fought with one and for one another, and the Boer War was the first camaraderie that was built up, and then the First World War big, Second World War, Vietnamese War, Korean War. Like, we fought for one another and stood by one another, and there should be some reciprocity in that relationship and fairness. You know, we all, Kiwis and Aussies, think that they have an underrunning current that signifies our culture, and it's called fairness, and it's quite clear this is unfair.
Like a brotherhood, yeah.
That's fast disappearing though, eh? I mean, that's the old school where camaraderie ruled, and you get Australia and there's the Anzac Bridge, and you know the heartstrings get played. But I think the economy is very much every man for himself, do or die. We're here to make money at whatever cost. And I think that's the evolution of that social responsibility is shifting. And I think that's where
very good point.
Both governments need to start thinking and taking into account that there's a new type of behaviour or a new type of environment that's going to be created if people don't get together and find solutions to this.
I think a fair solution would not be that New Zealanders should be able to go over there to Australia and receive the dole straight away. I mean, certainly that's long gone. Nobody's really advocating for that. I reckon maybe something like 5 years of living and working in Australia, keeping a clean record, and then being automatically eligible for the benefits of permanent residence, rather than having to go through the application process, which at present, of course, has no chance of success and could cost you thousands of dollars. So I think that would be a fairer thing all round.
Well, it depends if you contribute, how much you would contribute to the Australian economy. And the bar is quite high, but, you know, I mean, that is one option to apply for Australian citizenship. Then you do get all the benefits. I mean, depending on what state you live in, you can, if you're an Australian resident, you can get up to $24,000 a year for a first home buyer's housing grant, which you don't get anything like that here. But again, you've got to qualify for Australian citizenship.
But there's a reluctance to do that, eh? I mean...
But you still get dual citizenship, even if...
For sure, but I think most people hang on to their, especially Māori New Zealanders, hang on to that identity that makes them quite unique And so there is a reluctance, possibly because of the cost and because of the criteria that they're going to achieve it anyway. There's also a third element, which is that cultural identity that they want to hang on to and not give away, because I think everyone's idea of going to Australia was to go there on a temporary basis, make some money so you could come back to New Zealand and live quite comfortably, build your house and settle down and find a job that would take care of you. The biggest problems in New Zealand is the ability to afford a house, so people go to Australia to do that. So they don't want to give up their identity in order to become an Australian.
Okay, just a couple of quick solutions. If you had your magic wand or whatever, and there was a couple of things that you would advance pretty quickly to get some fairness going, what would it be?
Well, like I say, bring in some kind of waiting period to become a permanent visa holder and allow people to go through that period, living, paying taxes in Australia, and then have the rights of permanent visa holders.
I'm not sure. I need to think about it.
Well, in the meantime, we're still locked out.
I think just have the same reciprocal arrangement that Australians have to come to New Zealand. It's quite simple.
Okay, well, some good ideas there anyway, but me pēa ta whakatinana i tēnei rautaki, koina te pātai nui, kati ake, we'll be back with more on what's a fair deal between New Zealand and Australia after this.
Kei tērā atu taha o te wā whakatā, ko huri mātou ki te whai ngā whakautu ki inei raru, he taonga ka taia te whakamahi e naia tonu nei.
We now know why the Warriors can't win. The Aussies are all on steroids, you see. So,